So I want to give a quick update on the Spotify and Patreon goal for this channel. This will be a bit of a candid video, but I want to get this update out there as soon as possible. So just forgive me if I ramble a bit. I will try and hit the main points right out the gate, and then I can go into some of the finer details and thoughts after that if you want to stick around and see kind of what's going on behind the scenes. But the big bullet points, first of all, recap. I started a Patreon last month with the hopes of funding putting my Gorillaz What If remixes up on Spotify and other streaming services. Because the number one request I get in my videos, besides, can you put, try this song on this album or whatever, has to be, when will this be up on Spotify? The answer is as soon as possible, but there are costs associated with that. A new Spotify account, a new streaming account like that, plus the cover licensing fees. Since these are all going to be copywritten songs, I need to do that if I don't want to risk them being taken down, right? So that's why I started the Patreon. I started the Patreon to help fund the cost of that because it adds up quickly. And the results of that are not like amazing or anything. I have a few patrons, basically. It's not much, but it's something. And if you're one of those people, by the way, like, thank you very, very much. Like, what you're doing directly supports my decision making here and helps me just make everything better, right? If you are not one of those people, I completely understand that too. It's kind of weird to ask people for money. I've never really done it this way before. Like, yeah, I've sold merch like for Hyper Chicken, but I've never been like, hey, can you just like dedicate a monthly fee to me every month, like to support what I'm doing? Especially in this day and age where like everything has become a subscription service on top of all of your streaming services. It doesn't feel good to do. It feels a little dirty. But so I can't really expect anyone to be able to do that. And just because you aren't doing that doesn't mean I don't feel the support. Like, I know how much people love these mixes I do because I get all kinds of really positive comments. It's like the most positive feedback I've ever gotten from anything I've done musically. And some of it's really specific. You're calling out like really specific aspects of what I'm doing here. And I really do feel that. Like, I really feel the support there. So don't think that, I don't appreciate what you're doing, your support, just because you're not like giving me $1 a month or whatever. Like, I totally get that. But for those of you who are doing that, again, thank you. It's very beneficial. And the results of that are basically, I'm going to start putting songs up on Spotify. In fact, the very first Egg Beatz remix will be up on Spotify very soon. I'm just waiting for it to clear. It's going to be the Rhinestone Eyes on Self-Titled remix. It was the first one I did. I've submitted it. Everything's been approved except for the cover licensing. I'm just waiting on that. It could be tomorrow. It could be 2 weeks from now. That's the only thing hanging it up before it'll, go live. Beyond that, I have no control over when it will actually be available, but I'll be sure to let everyone know as soon as possible. So that's the good news. Basically, because I have a few patrons, I feel a little more comfortable doing this. It's not covering the cost of everything, and I'm going to get into that now in just a minute here. But as a reminder, if you are interested in joining the Patreon, it's $1 a month, and here's what you get from it. You're going to get high-quality downloads, instrumentals. I'm currently working next on uploading multi-tracks and stems, so if you want to download the raw tracks of these songs and work on them yourself, do whatever you want with them, make your own remixes, you can do that. So that's coming up next. That's like my top goal to add to the Patreon. And then after that, I want to do a breakdown, a how I made this kind of video of the Rhinestone Eyes Self-Titled remix. So that's kind of what's coming down, down the pipeline or whatever for the Patreon. So if you find any of that interesting, and if also you'll get a thank you in any future What If videos, please, consider supporting that. That would be awesome, and it'll help me justify this. Because here's the cost of everything. Like, I'm going to just be as transparent as I can be so that you know exactly what I'm paying on my end and like why the Patreon is helpful and helps alleviate that. So first of all, DistroKid is the service that I'm using to submit my music everywhere. It is the best service that I've found. It gives you the best control over things. It pays you as fairly as a streaming service can, or a distribution service can, which still isn't really much at all, but it's better than like TuneCore or any other like super cheap options I've seen. So that's what I'm going through. The cheapest version of a new DistroKid artist profile is $23 a year plus tax, right? So not so bad. Like, if that's all it was, I would just front the bill for that. I already do that for Hyper Chicken. Like, I'm actually paying for a higher tier account for Hyper Chicken, but I'm doing that out of pocket. But the problem is, so you got your 23 bucks a month. Now add on to that, all these songs I'm doing are going to be listed as covers because I don't want them to be taken down for copyright, like I mentioned. So there's an additional fee every month. Every song costs an additional $1 per month to be able to do that legally. They obtain the rights for you so that you don't get your songs taken down. That way the artist you are covering gets their fair share of everything, and then you get like a couple cents of that, whatever. But that's $1 per month, indefinitely, per song. So just to give an idea, let's say I do 5 of these What If videos up on Spotify on this new DistroKid account. It's going to be $83 plus tax per year, just for 5 of those songs. 6 songs is 95, 7 songs is 109. Like, it just keeps adding up like that. So that's not great. Like, it's not terrible. Like, I can afford it, but like on top of, my HyperChicken account, which I'm paying for, on top of things like when I buy a new plugin to make an even better What If video, or when I hire musicians like Dogman Ruckus and Sherry to perform on Stylo, that costs money out of my pocket. Like, it just adds up. On top of that, this is for the cheapest version of DistroKid. The slightly more expensive version is $40 a year. What's the difference? Well, at $40 a year, now I can control things like when the song comes out. I can control the release date. I can change my artist picture on Spotify and give myself an actual proper profile on Spotify. It's little things like that. I'm not aiming for that right now because, like, if the goal is just to get the songs out there for you to be able to listen to them, I'll do the cheapest version of that, so that we can just get it done. But ideally, it would be nice to be able to control like when those songs will be out so I can tell you, hey, it's coming out next Friday, whatever. So that's the cost of things for me right now. So Patreon right now is paying me out $6 per month, which, hey, it's great. It's $6 per month I wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's really cool. But that only covers part of it. So it's harder for me to justify like the better DistroKid account. And again, every time I create a new song, it's just going to up the annual cost of that. I have 7 What If videos right now, I believe. Maybe it's 6. The point is that it just adds up. So that's the only reason I started that. But hopefully, if you want those perks, it's like worth it for you to be able to do that, and you can see that there is a direct correlate, cost benefit to like what is what you're contributing to. Like, it just goes straight into that fund of getting everything up on streaming. As a side note, someone mentioned recently like putting these things up on Spotify, on SoundCloud. I can try that. I know SoundCloud can be weird about copyright stuff. It didn't used to be, and then they kind of upped their algorithm that like checks for those things. So I think I'll try it and we'll just see what happens. But that doesn't cover everyone. Not everyone, likes SoundCloud. It's not the most usable platform, like on the go, that sort of thing. But it is something, so I do like that idea. I think I will try that. So keep an eye out for that. I'll let you know how that goes. We'll see if it doesn't get taken down for copyright or if it just stays up there. It might be all right. We'll see. But yeah, that is all of this. I mean, I rambled so much and I was only able to keep it under about 10 minutes here. But hopefully that at least gives you a good update, lets you see what's going on behind the scenes and what I have coming up. So keep an eye out for the first Egg Beatz song to be on Spotify, hopefully very, very soon. If you're on the Patreon or considering joining the Patreon, all the instrumentals and high-quality downloads are up there already. I'm working on the stems and multi-tracks next, and then a behind-the-scenes video after that. That's coming up very soon, too. As far as new What If videos, I don't have any going right now. I'm working really hard on HyperChicken stuff. I've got new HyperChicken stuff in the works. We just played a show. There's just a lot going on over there. But a new What If video is almost certainly I'm going to be starting one of those probably in the next, I'd say in May. May seems right. I've got a couple ideas that I already have a couple kind of basic concepts for recorded. I just want to expand on those and see how they go. So keep an eye out for that, probably in May or June for the next video. But these things take time. From the beginning, I've never wanted to just crap these out and make them just be okay, here's this song on this album. It's just different sounding synths. No, I want to approach it like a totally new song from the ground up. And that just takes time and inspiration and money and all that kind of stuff. So bear with me. But anyway, thank you very much for the support you have shown for Egg Beatz. I really appreciate it, whether it's on this Patreon or just in your comments and subscribing, all that kind of stuff. it is awesome. It's like the most rewarding thing I've done musically, and it's always really cool to get these comments and the support and everything like that. So that's enough rambling. 10 minutes, I think that's a good place to call it. What do you think? So thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.